Why don't we get started? Everybody that does not have a team member here, raise their hand. Everybody has a team member here. Remember them. Today starts work. Every day's work. Anyways, we were on week 6, right? Okay. I'm waking up here. Oh, you got it. Oh, sweetness. Okay. So this is actually the start of where you guys want to start really focusing on your game. You have hopefully some fabrication skills, lessons learned, things not to do, things to do, maybe get some ideas with different equipment here what you can do. There's a few things that will happen. We have our own little internal rubric that we use with the validators. We are going to share that information with you, so when people come in here you'll know what people are going to be asking or looking for in your games. But there's also another rubric we use in here that kind of just gets you started. It comes from the gaming industry itself. And then Dr. Corson has my favorite rubric, which I'll mention too. And DT3 has been assigned and uploaded? Yes. Okay, so this begins, I mean, if it happened today, it'd be like, holy crap, but this begins a time frame when we start looking for a team that's ready to build. You have to go above and beyond though, like literally a bill of materials. You got to say that these are all the components we're going to have in there. So if you flipped open a rule book or something like that, there's like the list of components. You also want to tell us like how they're each going to be made. How many are there? Is it going to be laser cut? Is it something 3D printed? You got to give us a really good handle on though you have a real game. The mechanics have to be solid because it's that age-old thing where you build this 3D printed part and it's the coolest freaking thing in the world. You're really proud of it, but it doesn't fit your game. Or the game sucks, and then you change the game and then it doesn't fit. We want to be very careful at this point, and that's why we kind of like have at least 2 people, TAs, review your game if you think you're ready, and we'll go through it with you guys. But I don't want to discourage you. I want to encourage you guys to see who's really ready. I love having a team ready by about week 7 or 8. Then with a class this size, the following week, usually 2 more people will pop up and be ready. And you guys are just onto your game and making your components, and then you're also improving them. Sometimes, you know, you'll laser cut something just because it was fast and easy, but then realize, you know, I could actually make that 3D printed or cast them, and it even look better. So we'll work with you guys on that. What'll happen is DT3 will look like DT4, will look like DT5. They're all the same except for in 4 and 5 there's an added clause that says if you are ready, ignore the whole DT. Just do this, and it's basically build. So if you get the go-ahead, you're going to have a very different assignment. There's nothing wrong with being later. You know, if you're taking more time to work out some bugs, it's a lot better to work those bugs out on your alpha or beta rather than making parts and, you know, laser cutting up stuff and then realizing it's all throwaway. Don't throw away stuff. We always find a use for it. Joseph likes eating chipboard. He's getting ready for grad school. No. Oh, come on, come to the dark side. No. This is from the Game Inventor's Handbook. These are basically, how do you know you got yourself a good system? And, you know, first off, is it fun? Now, if you made something that's completely, utterly boring, you know, what good is that as a game? It could be a little bit different. There was one team one year that made something for like 6 and under, and if it's fun for you, you probably got my mentality. Yeah, but hey, that's cool. Is it easy enough for a target audience to learn? That's actually kind of like, if you want to think about this, you don't have to raise your hand, but if you know someone that's diabetic or you are diabetic, if you ever picked up one of those little booklets that go in the SMBG kits, it is the biggest horse's pain in the ass to actually read and actually follow the instructions. It's not easy to do. You spend half an hour with your doctor usually getting consultation on how to do it, and all it is you're poking your finger and taking some blood and reading your blood glucose levels. This is you trying to communicate to the user how to play the game. It sounds easy, but we actually used to teach in 100 this thing like take a common household object and write instructions on how to use it. And we had people arguing over how to use a toaster. It used to be the most hilarious thing we did because what makes sense to one person doesn't always translate to another person as, oh, that makes sense. The hospital beds behind here are like infamous for this. They have these little logos and they have these big reviews every year on how to label a hospital bed. And then my favorite one is they got this person laying flat with, you know, the round head, and they have an arrow going this way, and I'm like, oh, he died in the bed button. You know, it's his soul going to hell or whatever, you know. But you know, it's what's intuitive to you is not always intuitive to somebody else. So think about it when you're writing. Does it take the right amount of time to play? This is my zombie side versus zombies thing. You know, I love a game that you can get up and playing and have fun and either call it quits whenever or the game's over fast. Versus zombie side, I once played it, like it must have been like an 18-hour game. It was the most heinous thing I've ever done in my life, legally. That was probably, well, Yeah, it was fun. It's a fun game, but it's just a real, I don't know. I actually hate to take that box out and play it because it's just like I know I'm in for like I'm going to lose a day of my life. It's kind of like World of Warcraft. Are the rules clear and concise? It's kind of reiterating what they said earlier. Does it have extra parts? This is another weird thing. I've actually gotten some games before, and you sit there and play the game, and you just feel like, I don't really need these things. I can alter the rules, make house rules, and we can throw all that crap away. Well, now, if a lot of people are doing that with your game, you're wasting money. So you want to think about that. Number 6, Nicole is going to help us. With a business person here, we're going to help us develop something that seniors get ripped apart all the time in Capstone for, and the junior class has been ripped apart in this class. We have no clue how much shit costs. So we're going to actually put it in part of the homework. It is part of the homework. We never just really focused on it, so we're going to do it in lecture, focus on it, and then in the homework we're actually really going to call it out. You're going to have to price out all your components. Remember, to get building, you have to tell us what the list of components are. Well, go look up what those things are and how much it would cost to buy just the raw material. Then we'll teach you some little shady things on how to estimate prices and stuff like that, because you're going to get into production costs. I'll give you a spreadsheet I've worked on with a bunch of people in industry from medical devices and not, and we actually made something that priced out Tiny Epic. We nailed their price. And then Zombicide, I nailed their price. So it was hilarious. I put medical products through there, I can nail the price. I put a game through it, I nail the price. So it's a really useful tool. We'll share that with you guys. So then what you go from is what does it cost to make my prototype, and then what does it cost to make my production round? From that production round cost, you can then estimate what your what is that, the suggested market, MSRP? What the hell does that stand for? Suggested retail price? It's something I'm not a fucking business person, but anyway, so there's an M in there. But we're going to have you estimate that. Now, what you do with all that information is you put that together, and you'll make something in Capstone called the net present value. If you were a company and your exit strategy was to sell and get out of this, you have to know what the valuation of your company is. You have to know how much money went into this. You have to have any licensing. You have to know about any other legal fees, overhead like buildings, lights, air conditioning. And you'll make these models of what your company, basically when are you going to make money as a company. It's hilarious. A lot of them, you don't want to do Gatorade where it's like, we're flat broke or we're really red and all of a sudden we're instant millionaires. Gatorade did that. Very few products have done that. Biomed space, I think Genentech was one of the ones that come to mind. Microsoft is another one that's in the software world. But very few business models follow that. There's usually like a 5 or 10% acceptance rate unless you're in one of the markets that there is nothing. So you have to kind of justify your model. We'll teach you more about that. Steve will do that actually next week on some marketing for part of his practicum. He'll give you a little talk on that. Your prototype. This is a funny one. It's just like in biomed space. Engineers are infamous for like, I'm going to make something and this is what it is. It's this really comfortable, ergonomic, well, it will be. When you don't have a prototype that's close to that final product feel, it turns people off. In the gaming world, the same effect is there. If it doesn't look pretty, people don't want to play it. I think it's Prasad over in the design, whatever he calls it, design space. They emphasize this. He's an industrial engineer, and human factors are really huge. You want to think about this, and if you're making a prosthetic leg or arm, how is it going to actually fit to the person? Not everything beyond it. That's where all the cool, sexy stuff is. You actually have to attach it to somebody. You got to think about that type of stuff too. What will make your customer want to pick up this game? This goes back to your blue ocean diagram. What 2 specifications, at least 2, are something that you can throw at someone and say, nobody else has this combination, nobody else is doing this, it's really cool. There are specifications for all different levels, and we'll go over that in a second. And then you got to know your competition. Who are the games that are kind of like you, and why are you better than them? Adding 8 and 9. And then kind of like, it's kind of stupid, but is it fun? Isn't that number 1? It's because a lot of people skip it. It's kind of like when we write things and we send it into the professor, or I'll send it into NIH or NSF, and I forget to hit spell check. I talk about the Reese Schwartz in my experiment will show great things. Happened once. Take your time to actually think about what you're doing and really challenge yourself. Dr. Corson will probably come through here, and he's infamous for grabbing the team and just looking at you guys saying, which one of you would buy this game? Or more importantly, which one wouldn't buy this game? and he will challenge you to answer you. And most people say, like this one team, the best one was none of us. He's like, what? And he was talking to the team that made it for the 600 crowd. But he will ask you this, and honestly, I wouldn't buy it. Why? Not my style. It's not my genre. I don't care about games. Whatever that is, that's fine. But he really wants to know what makes you want to buy it. Did you actually really make a game that you'd find inviting? Are you part of that target market? That 18 to 25 or 18 to 45, whatever your range is. Is it really something someone would want? Oh crap! I didn't pull them out. But so the Jim and John from Incursion shared something with us that's really cool. Joseph, would you mind grabbing the Snafu inkjet white copy and then just a poster? This industry does something really, really unique, and when I had some people from the healthcare industry in here, they saw some of these things. They're like totally flabbergasted that someone ever thought of this. And to me, it directly correlates to Capstone. The gaming industry has figured out a long time ago that if you ask people what specifications are important and what do people think about those specifications, and what they found out is that they overdrove, put the final product together and gave it to them. Sorry, Joseph, I forgot the inkjet. They figured if I give you the final product, you're going to find something wrong with it. And then what happens is you fix it, then you bring it back to the person, and they go, nah, it's the wrong size. And you go, oh, you bring it back, and they go, nah, that color's a little bit off. You go back, do something again, come back, and what happened is as you correct things, people are kind of finding more things wrong with it. So this industry did something really neat. They broke up into 3 versions, a bunch of different specifications, and they'll give it to the producers or the game developers, and they say, look at these and tell us what you don't like about it. And they have actually completely removed some specifications from these, and it's really clever, I think, because you're not going to focus on the artwork on a box that looks like a white. This is a white copy. I mean, unless you have the KKK game, I don't know. Anyways, they're in the snow. I don't know, but it's really not meant to overwhelm the person telling me what's wrong with it, because at this stage, this company, say Panda in China, is about ready to let loose on a $250,000 or a $500,000 production run, and if the person complains about it, that's it. There's no going back. They actually, Jim told me, they actually showed up in his office when he had a bunch of clients. He's an architect, by the way, for San Antonio. They came in with this box. This little Chinese guy came in with the box, and he's like, copies now. And he's just like, okay, over there. And he goes, no, now. And literally in China, the production line is literally waiting for him to approve everything. And so it was hilarious, he said, because he's like, I'm with clients. I'm talking something. They're like, yes. And he's like, this little guy would just not move until he looked at everything and said, that's good, that's good, that's good, I'm sorry, that's good, that's good, that's good. And it's a very important thing for their business because time is money, and they literally have production lines, just a queue waiting to go. And if they have to wait on someone, they don't like this part, they don't like that part, they want those answers right away. So Michael Coe, who will be joining us in a couple of weeks, actually, I got the game the other day, Tiny Epic Galaxies. This is his pre-production copy, and that's what they call it. They split it up into the whites. They split it up into a version that they call DeskJet, which looks like literally someone took a DeskJet, printed it out, and glued it onto stuff. And then they also send you a color proof, which is kind of neat. So this is the DeskJet version, and you can kind of tell because if you see this card right here, it's literally an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper folded over and just cut. The cards are not cards; they're paper. They don't want you to focus on the feel of the card. They just want you to look at the card. What you're looking for in a DeskJet, you can see like a whole bunch of them, fold, misfold. It's just paper. They're looking for alignment. Is the artwork on the front? Remember we were doing Incursion? We said make sure the eye is on the bottom and on the card. That's what they're looking for. Do you have the right counts? Are the components all there? And then proofreading, the resluts, we don't want that being published. So the whites is a little bit different. These things, so this is a DeskJet for Snafu. You can tell that the color, remember seeing the box before, it was really, really black, it was really dark. This is not really that good. There's another thing in here that I'll share in a bit, but the rule book is hilarious. They actually just fold it. They don't even print back and front, just because it takes longer. They just want to hit go and move with life. Cards are just really, it's paper. The boards are the worst things in the world. It's like literally take a piece of chipboard, lick it, put the paper on it, slap it in the box. It barely sticks together. Most of the shit falls apart after the person looks at it the first time. That's probably why Jim gave it to me. The whites, on the other hand, they separate out a little bit of different specifications. The boxes are going to be, you know, is it glossy? Is it linen? You're looking for feel. Is it heavy? This is a little bit thicker. Michael does this too in his games. He uses thicker boxes. They're a little bit more sturdy. They look at the gluing and the folds. Is it really sturdy and put together well? And then literally, as you would expect, everything inside of it is white. Rule books, decals, if there's some sort of decal sheet, cards are white, chipboard, punch boards, not even die stamped. Just here it is. That's what you're gonna get one of these. You know, everything, the poster board, there's the board in the game. Everything is literally just white. And it's don't look at the artwork. Count how many cards are there. Is that right? Do the cards actually feel like a deck card, you know? Is that really a card that you want? Or do you want a heavier duty card? Yeah, and so you're looking at these type of things. This is the part too, also where an inventor can go, this is going to cost way too flippin' much, and you have to negotiate, you know, with yourself. Do I want the board to be really thick and durable? Do I want the cards to be really high quality? Do I want to pay for the rounded edges? You have to make some design specifications and some production specifications changeover. We're still probably intermingling some user specifications, but they're all different levels of review, and in quality control too. There's all different levels of review based on each one of those processes. Then the final copy is the weirdest one. It's posters. It's the color proofs. The neat thing is you can actually see the color bar they put on here. You get to look at all your stuff, including rule books. Here's Jim's rule book, all on a poster board. It literally is one of the weirdest things to look at because nothing's right. It's all like backwards and upside down. He doesn't want you to focus on, is page 6 before page 7? They don't really care about any of that. It's just like, is the color looking right? Is the stuff in the right place where you want it to be? Cards, you can actually count them again. So just a little weird looking. You know, box covers. Is the layout of the box right? Is that when you fold over this box, do you have enough room around the edges to have bleed over? So when you publish, you know, like if you had your artwork stop here at the top here, you're going to have a white lip here and a white edge in here. Do you want that, or would you rather have your color go over? That part of that paper is actually what glues the box together and keeps it sturdy. So, you know, it's all important stuff to the people that are making these games. Yeah, and you can get the brightness and contrast. Jim and John love really dark and, you know, kind of gothic-y, you know, world. Michael Coe, on the other hand, loves a very bright and brilliant color on his games. So you have different styles. You want to make sure those things are right. How does this relate to Capstone? You're looking at 3 different versions of a game. There's a 4th one, actually, which is really neat. Before I jump to this. They have steel molds that they make to make the miniatures, and so these are basically resin. They're very delicate and break like crazy. I had to glue them, like almost all of them, back together. The purpose of that is the resin's got the highest quality detail, and then you know, you'll never see it in the final product, but they trick you into thinking, wow, this is flipping great, I want this. They do this for a couple of reasons. They get the developers to proof the machine mold and say those are perfect, or let's tweak it a little bit. And then the next run, the 4th copy of the game you actually get, which I don't have up here, is the first production run. It goes through the molds and cleans up all the resin. So you'll literally have plastic pieces that have little bits of resin in them. It's pretty hilarious. And on that copy, all you're really doing is everything look right now all at once. That's really your last stop fix. But how does this all fit into Capstone? This is me trying to convince you once again this is worth doing. We actually had an idea from Colin and Wayne at Battle Systems. They made this little like 3D miniature train type thing. I actually got their current Kickstarter's up and running right now. They're doing some sort of like zombie apocalypse game system, and they build these buildings and rooms and furniture, and they have all this really cool stuff in there to play like Zombicide or something like that. But they had a previous one that was sci-fi, and they had this like turbine engine. And me being me, you know, I got this thing, I put it together, and I'm holding it. And that guy right here is about 1 inch big, so this is like about maybe all of 2 inches big. But I put this thing together, I'm holding it going, my God, this thing is strong. And so, I'm me. I put it on the floor and stepped on it. And at the time, I was probably about closer to 220 than I am now. A little bit, getting leaner. Damn kids. But it's, it was really impressive to stand on a piece of cardboard. I mean, I'm standing on this thing going, wow, this is actually supporting my weight. If that was like, say, a prosthetic arm, it could be lighter. It's got a lot of free open space inside. Maybe I could put actuators in it. So this gave me an idea of could we make a prosthetic arm, not out of chipboard, but at least the first prototype could be out of chipboard. And so what we did is we made our own version of this just to make sure we're just as good as making this as they were. They actually shared the files with me, so it was really cool. And then what we did is we did a very basic alpha. We put some paper together and kind of came up with the concept of how would you fit all these pieces together. We made a whole bunch out of chipboard in cubes. Why cubes? Because math is like so easy, I can do it. It's 6 centimeter by 6 centimeter by 6 centimeter. We can look at fill factor, how much free space we created. We can do Instron testing, like that big beast over there in the corner, be right behind Joseph. Not Joseph, but behind Joseph. Big beast. And that'll actually, we can compress it and crush the shit out of these things and find out, where do they fail at. For a 6-foot-plus person like me, if I fell down on my prosthetic arm, how many pounds of force do you think that arm could take? Like in pounds? Or how much would my arm normally take? Anyone know? About 500. So if we can make an arm that goes under 500, that arm breaks first, not my whatever's left on me. So anyway, so this is something that you can actually start to do and do your own mathematical modeling and figure out. You can build variations. You kind of see in here there's some different looking ones, but I think on the next slide. Yeah, how many pieces that you can slot in there? Does it make it stronger? As you put more pieces in it, you're increasing weight. You're increasing or decreasing the amount of free space, but you're making it stronger. So you have basically the essence of a DOE, which is something you have to do in Capstone. You have to run an experiment, optimize the design, and measure some sort of tangible outcome. This is all with a freaking cube, right? Doesn't look like a damn thing like a prosthetic arm. It's not plastic or metal like the final product will be. It's not even made the same way. One of these things takes about 10 minutes to make, and it takes an 8.5 by 11 sheet of chipboard to do it. You can run a shit ton of experiments this way. Imagine how many prosthetic arms I'd have to build in order to run an experiment with something that takes only 10 minutes to make. So it's very versatile for Capstone. You actually get real statistics out of this. In Capstone, it's hilarious. Like, there's a pair of arms over there with some gardening tools on them. How many experiments do you think were run on those? Two? Yeah, sort of. Put the attachment on and see if it's stuck. Wow, how do you do a DOE on that? You're very limited. So, this is a really great first stab at moving towards a prosthetic arm development. So, going to the next level, where we'd like to be is something that maybe looks more like a human arm. Maybe there's some sort of design constraints. Hey, we're in SolidWorks. We can model now. We can change the material now. We can optimize without doing anything. And we know that our math is good because we built the cube first, tested empirical data against the model, and we got tons of shit flying in. This team probably could defend this at the end of their Capstone year as it is right now, what they've got here. They actually ran and crushed all of them and had fun. They even made some cylinder ones. This is actually a step further than most people would ever get in Capstone. But they actually have real data. They have statistics. They have an analysis. ABET accreditation would sit there and say, well, they got a little bit more work to go. There's one in the room, so a lot more work to go. But ABET would say, this team demonstrated the skills necessary in order to pass Capstone, to be a biomedical engineering, card carrying, already. They don't even have a prosthetic arm yet. You're only putting the icing on the cake by making an arm. It's nice icing on the cake, but you can actually change the designs out really quick by just simply adding in some more features and structures. Starting to create an alternative design. What if I had an actuator that ran the whole length of this? Well, if I put these brakes in there, maybe I can poke holes all the way through and have perforated pieces. Now I change out my material. I have some design controls that I can play with. Eventually get to the point where you have a full arm, then maybe with a hand on it, of course an attachment to the body. That'd be a great thing. How does this, to me, in my world, look at like a Capstone or pre-production copy? This right here, taking some sort of pivotal data set, simplifying it, multiple fin design. That's an awesome Capstone because you just demonstrated all the tools. They can do an FDA documentation on it. They got their DOE, their stats. They've built something. Done. B. Maybe B+. No, that would probably be like a freaking A because we never see that shit from most seniors. We usually see, not that shit, but all the stuff around here, which is just product one device. I can't test it, especially destructive testing. If they can take it further, that's just awesome. That's going to be a great capstone by the time the team defends. So, just going over that, trying to think of some other stuff. If there's anything else. Oh yes, quality control. We are done with quality control. So we need one team member from each team to come on up, empty the box, make sure their stuff's all in one bag, and we can take that quality control stuff off. What I'm doing is I'm taking 3 really good copies of what you guys all built, assembling them into packaging and shipping tubes, and I'm going to mail it to Jim and John. So I actually got a copy of the rule book that Wednesday's class all signed and said thanks to them for sharing all the stuff with us. Jim and John, they said all this stuff is the result of $250,000, 2 years worth of work, and it's either priceless or it's worthless. So he gave it to us. That was really cool, but I thought it'd be really fun to give them something back and just say thanks. So I'm going to ship out a copy of the game to them that you guys built. And so if you don't want to sign the book, that's fine. But yeah, it's just the only thing I could think of that say thanks to these guys. And then then it's getting on to building your own game. So if you have questions, you want to run some ideas by us, we're all here to help out. But this is where it starts to be you guys driving this class, okay? DT3 will be due next week, and then we'll assign DT4, which again is the same damn thing, and we'll go over verification 2, which this is going to be a little bit more about marketing and starting to think about what specifications you really want to exemplify, what's that target market that you're looking for. And then the week after that, we're going to be doing some more of the financials. Eventually what we're building is your elevator pitch. When we get enough components, or if somebody's ready, we'll start redesigning the rooms the way it'll look like on the final day, and whoever wants to practice their pitches on us can go for it. So, cool? Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, let's get building.